welcome back. Mystery Motors here. So this is a Husqvarna HU675 all-wheel drive. It's got a Kohler motor on it. This is one I had actually sold. I picked it up, got it running, sold it, and then the buyer reached out and said that it just wasn't. It just kept dying on them. Were just having issues with it. They kept mentioning, I guess, super tall grass. I mean, these, based on what they were saying, like they must have been just mowing a field with it or something like that. But super thick grass, bogging it down. I know before I sold it, as I mentioned in previous videos, I always cut the backyard here a couple times, and it did well, but it's one of those things where maybe the grass was just crazy tall, but as you could tell when I fired it up, it was kind of spitting and sputtering. So we're gonna just kind of go through it real quick, maybe check compression, see if that's where it needs to be. I mean, it starts super easily, so maybe I'm thinking there might be something in the carb that's still a little clogged up. So we're just gonna kind of go through it. We'll check that compression first, and then we'll pop this carb off. Doesn't want to come out. Alright, so that's what we're looking like, and this is a brand new plug, brand new Kohler OEM plug that I put in. I mean, it kind of seems like it's maybe a little bit more gunked up than it should be for being brand new, but let's see. I'm hoping we're just looking at an issue with the carb, but we'll see. Just now realizing I evidently don't have a thread adapter for this style plug here, which is kind of mildly annoying, because this is, it's kind of one of those things. You'd think it would be fairly universal, but I mean, looking at this plug, it does kind of look a little caked up. So I think what we'll do is we'll just keep continuing on. We'll pull that carb off, clean it again. I got it pretty dang clean the first time, I feel, but we'll really spend some extra time on it, make sure that it is good to go. Tighten this back up. Super long threads on this. Here we go. Go. Switch that back on. Yeah, I've been eyeing. They got the Mighty Vac compression test kit, and I think that's the one that we need to get. Okay, so here we go. Flip her around here. Pull this off. If I remember correctly, I think I had changed this air filter as well. This mower really got a lot of different stuff. So it's kind of you know, a little frustrating that it didn't really last for. Yeah, it worked out well. The woman that reached out about this, I had actually just picked up another mower, which I think that was the last mower we did a video on, that Toro. Nice mower. I mean, that was probably one of the nicest mowers that I've come across, that someone was just getting rid of. And we got that going, and she messaged that night and said that it was perfect. So, which is funny. I mean, generally I've had pretty good luck with the Toro mowers, and generally I've had pretty piss poor luck with Husqvarna products in general. You know, whether it be their small engine, like blowers, weed whackers, you know, what have you. And now evidently their mowers a little problematic, a little finicky. So let's see here. So this is what we have here. It just slides right off. Again, if you watch that other video with the Toro, we have one for the choke and one for the throttle. So I've been noticing this camera is kind of having a little bit of some problems when it comes to focusing. So let's hope that this is focusing on us here. Let's pop this off. And I assume this is full of gas. So what we're going to attempt to do is we're going to pinch this clip, and that should release both of our, get through there we go, both of our fuel lines. I think actually one of these is just a breather, but in fact this comes apart. We could pop that fuel line through. So what we're going to do, I'll pop this off, feed this through, and then up and back into our tank if we can. If we can. I don't know how well that's going to hold. Actually, there we go. That's perfect. Look at that. Couldn't even see it. There we go. We tucked her back here. And this is, yeah, the woman that bought this, evidently it was, she said it was splashing gas out of it. She must have been mowing, I mean, just a dirt field from how she was talking about it. Let's see. Yeah, she said it was real bumpy, real lumpy yard and everything else. So here we have our gasket, you know, a little worse for wear, but it's not broken in any spots. So it's, you know, one of those things. Freak that little bug out. Okay, and now, let me see here. I'm trying to remember how we got this off. I think what we did actually before was we removed it from the other side, which again, kind of annoying, and it seems like it's exclusive to Husqvarna. I'm just not a fan of Husqvarna products, evidently. Working on them, they just are more problems than, you know, than they look, I feel. But I do know that, you know, they got a good following. They've been around for a number of years. I just feel, especially as of late, you know, you hear kind of iffy things about the Husky stuff. Let's see if we can grab our nuts. Don't want to lose our nuts. And that's a recoil she actually put on herself. So, got this recoil, got the cover off here. Let's see if we can, there we go. Zoom out just a skosh. Alright, so this is what we've got. This is a good shot of the choke mechanism. So you know, pretty much all new mowers now, they don't have primers, they have the auto choke, and this is what the auto choke mechanism looks like. So it connects it over to the exhaust, because obviously that exhaust is going to get hot, you know, very quickly. So as soon as it starts running, you know, it's in choke mode. You have your, I think that's, yeah, right in the front there. You have your choke closed at all times, and then as this heats up, you know, I'd assume there's a little diaphragm or something in here that, you know, it heats up and it lets the rod open up. So that's essentially how it works. Simple mechanism. But yeah, evidently on the Husqvarnas, you have to take it off from one side, which is kind of annoying. So no worries though. If you watched the other one, you saw me just fish I just fished the linkage right off of the carb. But this one, it doesn't look quite as easy. So I think what we'll do is we'll just rip these two 10 mils off the exhaust side, and that should free up our choke mechanism. Bring it around. In fact, we'll leave it as is, and I think we might be able to come all the way off now. Yep. Pull that off. We'll leave our mechanism. And then right here on this one, you're going to actually have two little, you know, pieces on this throttle linkage. So you have the actual rod, and then around this rod is a little spring. So the rod literally, you just turn this and it just pops right out, and the spring you'll just kind of loop around. It's a very thin spring, so just be careful there. And then there we have it. This is our carb. It's a Kohler branded carb, so OEM goodness. But yeah, this is our, let me see, yeah, that's how it goes. That's kind of a weird opening. You can see that kind of oblong, and then that's a really weird opening. Huh. Well, I guess that's how it goes. It fits. It doesn't block any part of that port there, so I'd say we're looking good. Let's go ahead and get this carb torn down again. All right. Hope this is a good vantage point. But yeah, we've got our compressed air, we've got our brake clean, we've got our PPE, our glasses, of course. You know, can't stress enough whenever you're working on stuff like this, make sure you got some eyewear, because you never know what could happen here. All right. Pop that off. We got these little things all over us here. I don't even know what those are. If you can identify the bugs, guys, let me know. Alright, so we were full of fuel here. So again, this is an old style, you know, just metal. We've got the push through pin for our float. Pop that out, and then of course we have our needle, which the needle here, looks like we've actually got a little spring on that needle there, which is kind of interesting design. But yeah, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm almost positive I pulled this carb off, but I'm not sure, because I know we've got a little jet. I don't know if you can see inside there we have a jet down inside, so let's pull that out real quick and take a peek. But alright, let's hope we can get this out. Alright, so now that I think we're coming. Alright, slowly. This is really a tough one. Wow. That is just in there. I think this might be our issue. Now that I'm thinking back, I'm thinking maybe this just didn't come clean on this main jet, because I probably couldn't get it out now that I'm looking at this. So we are going to douse these up again. And we'll get it put back together. But I think after looking at this, that very well could have been our issue. That very well could have been it. In which case, that's good, because I mean, this is a really nice mower. It cleaned up really well. So all right, I think we might be all set. Yeah, so it's funny. I just don't have any of the tools, so it looks like it is just a pain in the butt to get that jet out. And unfortunately, I don't have a screwdriver that's narrow enough and wide enough to fit down in there. So it sounds like we're gonna have to get ourselves some some more tools. Yeah, thought we had a little bit of everything to cover all of our stuff, but we need a new screwdriver set and a quality compression tester, evidently. So that's where we're at, guys. But otherwise, I don't know if I can. Try to think of what I can fish down in that hole to just potentially knock free any, any blockage that might be down in there, because at this point I really do think that might be our issue. Is yeah, this, I assume this is the pilot jet in here. It's probably just clogged up, which, let me see if you can kind of see where it shoots through. Oh, spraying all over. I mean, that looks like some good flow, but you can't really be certain unless you have it off and can actually see, like, oh, we're clear. The passages are just so small. So, but I think I mean, might be as good as we can get without actually spending more money. Yeah, because this one, as I mentioned before, you know, I don't think I went down the full list of what we put on this, but it got a new blade adapter, because on these mowers it's kind of like, I'd assume it's an aluminum blade adapter, but I think it's designed that, you know, if you hit something, there's like a little star on the adapter, and I believe that if you hit something, it will shear that star, as opposed to, you know, transferring that force to the engine and damaging internal components. So that was one of the things I noticed was, you know, the star was sheared, you know, so it was really, the blade was just held on by the bolt. It wasn't really lined up by any, you know, sort of mechanism or notches or anything. So we got a new adapter, we got a new blade, cleaned everything up, you know, greased up and lubed the pulleys for the self-propulsion, and then I did clean the carb, but evidently didn't, you know, didn't quite do her right. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. But I think we're looking pretty good on this. I think we'll slap this back together and see if we're still spitting and sputtering. If we are still spitting and sputtering, maybe we order a new carb, you know, because I'd hate to give up on trying to fix this, because it seems like it's got a lot of life left. You know, it cuts well. It's funny, when I sold this, my wife rarely cuts, you know, the grass or anything, but she had, you know, for the first time in a while, and she used this mower, and when I sold it, she was like, do we have one that works as good as this one? So I'm like, of course, you know, we got a couple of nice, you know, we got the Honda HRX 217 and a couple of nice commercial lawn boys and so on. So we're not lacking in the lawnmower department, but, you know, ultimately it's all about keeping stuff going, you know, keeping it from going to the trash bin. And this, I mean, it fires up super easy, a lot of life left. So we'll get this put back together and see what it does. And you can see here, it looks like there's a good bit of corrosion around the top side of this, so I don't know. That little spritz. Start wiping stuff down here. Okay. Man. Yeah, that's wild. So this is, I mean, super basic carb. You know, really all you have is your float, your needle, and your pin that you use to hold in your float here. So pop that back in, and I guess we're kind of using this video as a you know, a cheap fix kind of a look, you know. So I think what we'll do, I feel like we'll put I don't know if it matters, I always overthink it, but I think we'll put this on the back side so, you know, that float can swing down. Not that it's going to swing down that much, but who knows, I can't really see inside the carb. So we'll actually, now that I'm rambling about it, I think what we'll do, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly where we want it to be, because that's on the outside, you know. So if you needed to drain the carb, it'll be right on the side you need it to be. So no need to change that. Let's wipe that off. So yes, I think that actually does. That might matter, but slap this on. Cinch that down good. That is tight. That is not going anywhere. Alright guys, so with this, we're going to slap it back on, clean up this mechanism a bit. It's pretty gunked up is what it is up here. So you want this to be clean, I mean, because if this is gunked up, it's, you know, it could affect how the choke and the throttle are working. Alright, there we go, something like that. Looks like we still got some down there. Let's blast that out. Oh, shaking. I'd say that's pretty good. Alright guys, let's reinstall it. Alright, so first thing is first, we are going to reconnect the spring. Again, you know, two mechanism side here. If you ever get confused, you know, on which way this needs to go, just look at where the fuel line is. I mean, because that's always going to be, you know, about right there. So I know there's many levels to wrenching, and there's certain things that are easily overlooked if you're in there and you're kind of getting flustered. But I will pull this back, and this will drop right down like so. And our throttle linkage mechanism is hooked up. Looks like, yeah, you can see it. You can see it about right there. Got that little jiggle going. And then, yeah, we're good on this side. We're just going to slide that back on our studs here. Like so. Beautiful. And then now we can take our choke assembly, slap it back on there, and then this one's kind of like two pieces. I think most of the time they're kind of connected, but this one has a little hook, you know, so just hook it in there. And then we have our two 10 mils over here. Hold on our choke assembly. It's kind of a neat little situation they have with the new design on these assemblies here. I remember you actually had to choke your push mower sometimes and then switch it over. Even had to prime them, everything else. But yeah, as you can see, like, so when this heats up, I think I already showed this, but this will just, let me see, this will open, and then it will pull the mechanism open, so it removes the choke. So let's see here. Next thing, I think we're going to put the fuel line back on her, and then with this, we did fish through this way. And did that gas look bad? The gas looked a little yellow to me. I don't know. And then we have, there's this clip over here. It's opens up where it pinches and goes through the frame here. But man, I wonder if that gas is bad. Couldn't see why it would be. I'm pretty sure I changed the gas before sending it off, but it's got a little bit of a tang to it. Punch this up. Come on. There we go, guys. All right. Fun stuff. And then we have our gasket for the airbox, and really this is only going to go on one way, and looks like I lucked out there. I was thinking this was going to be on the wrong way, so I can kind of give you the example, but you know, if you have it flipped around, obviously, you know, it's not perfectly shown. I think we've got a hole behind here, so it's only going to go on one way most of the time, where all of those holes are exposed. And let me see if I can figure it out again. Nope, not that way. You gotta flip it. You gotta turn it. You gotta, do all the things. There we go. So yeah, everything is perfect. It's just coming around the perimeter there. So that's what we want. Yeah. And then from there, we have, let's see. So it looks like this is a breather line that comes off of this tank. So maybe just recirculates the fumes possibly, but yeah, it's gonna go on this way. Just make sure you reinstall this this breather like so. Boom. And then this, I believe, is just open. I think this is just, if I remember correctly, when I got it at least, it was open. So, we'd have to pick up a little manual to fully be able to say that, okay, it's, it's where it needs to be. But, which, if you do have one of these mowers, if you are trying to maintain anything like that, the manuals are definitely the way to go. I know I've just been working on these mowers for so long now that I kind of know more or less the formula. They're kind of all the same. They've all got a flywheel. They're all, you pull that cord, it's going to be sparking. The only way that they shut down is it's got a brake here, and that's what, when you pull the handle on the mower, all that does is just release the brake on the flywheel, so you're able to start it up. So it's just drag and tension that essentially stops the mower. So it's a mechanical, physical brake that grips onto the flywheel, and it just slows it down and stops it. So we've got that on. On this mower, there's this little, it's like a little air vane of some sort, and it just pops right on there. So easier said than done, as always. In fact, is it this way? No, it's not that way. There we go. That's interesting. Huh. Get in there. Huh. I wonder why these are... Oh, I see. Because it's not supposed to. It's supposed to go right there. There's two little clips on the outside and one on the inside there, and it kind of seats over that little ridge. So we're good there. Let's toss our air box back on, and hopefully when we fire this thing up, we get some nice smooth idling. But we'll see. Don't want to get our hopes up too much, but generally, if you have one of these mowers, you need to get it going. I'd like to think most people's probably going to have a thinner screwdriver that can fit down in there. You just pull that jet out, clean that jet up really good. Maybe run like a little, if you got like a wire brush, put a little piece of that bristle down through the jet hole just to clear it out. Inspect it good, and then just reinstall it. But I think that might be our issue. Is just that jet was just a little too clogged up. And then once it was under any sort of load, it just started to die out, and I think that's kind of what was happening with this. So fingers crossed, we got it sorted out. And then there's just the gas tank, the leaky gas tank to figure out. But now, because she was said like there was gas coming out all over, and I never had any issues with that. So I'm kind of curious, really curious as to what her property looked like that she's cut, because it seems like it was pretty crazy setup grass wise. There we go. We got the 310 mils up top here. Very nice. One more in the front. There we go. Perfect. Got it in there. Cinch this down a little. Alright guys. Alright, for all intents and purposes, we're finished. Nice and easy. Nice short one here. Yeah, she said she added a bunch of Teflon tape to the top, which, you know, Teflon tape, once it hits gas, is probably just gonna turn into this. So we're just gonna pull this back off and take a peek. I mean, it sucks because when she bought this, she said like she's got a decent sized yard. I think she set up almost an acre, you know, which if you got an acre, like that's, you know, that's garden tractor size if it's, you know, if it's cuttable yard, you know. So, and I think, you know, she knew it, and I was like, yeah, but this should do you well. So that's all we cinched down. It is, I mean, you know, we'll see what happens. I guess if it's bouncing all over the place, it might splash out, but I mean, if you've got a fairly standard yard, you know, kind of under a half acre, flat, everything else, something like this should do you well. But let's fire it up. Let's see what it does. I think that sounds better. I feel like that sounds a little more even. So we won't really know until until our yard gets long enough we could actually cut it, which will probably be another 2 weeks. So, but yeah, I might list this back up for a lot less, and just, you know, put that in kind of the comments that she'll do you well if you got a small flat yard, but, you know, don't take her off-roading, even though she's all-wheel drive. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it did sound a little bit better. I think if we were able to pull that jet out and get it fully clean, fully clear, you know, we might be even perfect. But you know, we're kind of working with what we had today. You know, don't really, like I said, don't really want to spend any more money on this. You know, we've probably got $50 in it. You know, another thing, I had to buy a new dipstick for this because it's got an actual dipstick. And, you know, future reference, if you guys have one of these, be very careful because it's very easy to you know, double thread these and it just won't seat proper. And that's kind of what I was getting when I got it. Like, it was just, there was oil all over here, you know, and bought this and we were good. And I was looking too, because we've got this as well, and this looks like it's you know, kind of oil, but I don't know, it doesn't look like it's coming from the case here. So maybe it's just kind of, you know, through as bumpy as this yard was, Oil was just kind of splashing out somehow, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll wait till that yard gets long enough, give it a good testing, and put it up for sale again. If not, maybe give it away to one of our new neighbors. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think this will do it for this one, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Mystery Motors again, you know, if you like this, share, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.